This spreadsheet analyzes data from a Google Trends chart, and it shows you which months a particular keyword is most popular throughout the year. So this is great for determining seasonal trends of a keyword search. It can be applied to e-commerce if you're looking to sell products online, or also to affiliate marketing or any other kind of content related business, online business of any kind, or even a physical business where you're looking to see what people are looking for that's related to your own physical business. And so what I'm going to do in this video is, first of all, explain the chart, explain what it's actually doing. And then after that, I'll do a demonstration where I'll show you how to actually do a search on Google Trends and bring the data into the Google Sheet, which is a really simple process. So make sure you stick around to see how that works. Now, first of all, looking at the results of this Google Trends Analyzer, I did a search on pool floats in the United States for the past 5 years. So this is looking at it from an e-commerce perspective. If I'm selling pool floats in the United States to customers in the United States, then this would be, it would be wise to use United States as the region. However, you can change it to whatever you need to change it to. I'm using the past 5 years because I want that monthly data. I want to see January several times, February several times, March, every month repeatedly over the 5 years. I need that data, right? So now that data being brought into Google, into this spreadsheet, it now gives you the yearly and monthly averages. Now, before I get into the data, I do want to mention that, first of all, there is a chart at the bottom. And so if you're not even too interested in the specifics of the data, you can immediately see which months are the most popular months for this keyword search of pool floats. You can see that June is the most popular month, and you see that May and July are also much more popular compared to the other months, where you see August, it begins to trail off, and then it just goes off flat for the rest of the year. And you can see in the early months, it's not as popular either, but you see the buildup and where the buildup starts to happen, right? And you see that these are like the biggest months, May, June, July, for pool floats. So this is good to know, where you might have thought that August was also a hot month for pool floats. It turns out May is actually much better based on the past 5 years data, right? May is higher than August, for instance. So August, still some popularity, but it kind of trails off. Now, in terms of the actual chart up here, it's broken down. Basically, if you're looking at it row by row, this is year by year. And if you change the years, it will look for data from those years. There won't be any need to change it until the year advances. So in 2026, for instance, right now it's 2025. You can then change this to 2026 and change, you can change the years and it will still work. Okay. So 2018 and 2019 are too far in the past. They're not included. 2020, it literally goes back 5 years. Today's June. It's June of 2025. So it's literally going back 5 years to June 2020. And that is why 2020 starts in June. But looking at the year, we can see month by month what the popularity was for each month, the average popularity. So what it does is it takes the numbers for June, as you can see over here. It's pulling out June 2020, and it takes those numbers and averages them together. So you have the average for June 2020. Then you have July 2020. Then you have August, right? And these the values that you see in the Google Trends data. These are weekly values. These are week by week. So depending on the number of weeks in that month, that determines the amount of value. So you see August 2020, right? There are more weeks in August. So you get like 5 August values. Right here, September 2020, so on and so forth. All right. And so this sheet takes all of this, extrapolates it and averages it together for you. So we have June, July. Okay. Now, of course, we see bigger numbers in June, July, August, May, which we can see from the chart down here, right? So the numbers are a bit bigger for those months. And we can look at down here, the average by month, right? This is the January average, February average, March average, April. So if you want to look at the actual numbers, you can see these actual numbers, and you can see that June and July and May have the largest numbers compared to other months. And you see the single digits towards the end of the year as it gets colder, right? You see the single digits. So you know that pool floats are not very popular in those during those months, which makes perfect sense, of course. So, that's basically it. You can look month by month, and you can also look over here year by year, right? So like 2020, this is the average for 2020. This is the average for 2021, 2022, so on and so forth. And if you look at it, you'll notice that the numbers are a bit smaller than what we saw in 2020, 2021, for instance. So, but I mean, basically, if we're more interested in the monthly behavior, then we're going to pay attention to this. Now, these are the deviations from, and I do have the overall average, min, and max. I'm focusing on the average. If you're a bit more complex, you can get into minimums and maximums. The overall average, meaning if you take all of the popularity for the whole past 5 years, each number on Google Trends represents the popularity. So 20 being the overall average of pool floats for the past 5 years. This is how each month compares to it as a percentage. Okay. So clearly, January through April, you see negative values, and September through December, you see these negative values. That lets you know that it is way less popular. That's what the red negative numbers mean. Way less popular than normal. Where the green areas with these positive percentages means the opposite. Way more popular. Okay, so between May and August, they are way more popular than in other months, right? Way more popular. So that is really the idea of this chart. It makes it very clear how each month is compared to the overall popularity situation. So that is basically it. I mean, that's how the chart works, right? This is how the graph works. That's how you can use this to determine the seasonal popularity. So now let's look at how to actually get the data in here. First of all, you'll get a copy of this Google Sheet through the description of this video. You'll find a link. And when you do finally open the Google Sheet, make sure to go to File and then click on Make a Copy. So File and then Make a Copy. It's very important that you do that. File, make a copy. If you don't do that, you won't have your own editable copy. You'll just be looking at a view-only copy. And when you do make a copy, make sure that you select your Google Drive, My Drive, as the location. And then you'll have a copy of the Google Sheet. And so now the first step is to actually go over to Google Trends. We'll start a fresh search using trends.google.com, and I'll do another search. And my background is mostly e-commerce, so I am going to tend to favor these kinds of keyword searches. So I'll do jackets in this case, and then click Explore. Now, by default, it's already shown United States as the region, but I will select past. I need to add the past 5 years. I don't want the past day. That doesn't tell me anything. So I need the past 5 years, so I can have a nice complete chart with lots of data from the past 5 years. Now what I need to do is download this data into a CSV by clicking on the CSV download icon, and there it is. And I will now go back to the Google Sheet, go to Import, and go to File, Import, Upload, Browse, and select the most recent file, which is here, and open that file. And basically make sure not to create a new spreadsheet or insert a new sheet. Do not replace spreadsheet. Spreadsheet refers to the entire Google Sheet. If you select replace spreadsheet, you will literally basically destroy the Google Sheet, your copy of it. But you can always go back to my original. But, you want to select replace current sheet so that you're just inserting the data here. Click import data. It will replace the pre-existing data, which was the data for pool floats. Now we have jackets over here. We see category, all categories, week. Again, the weekly data, and jackets is the keyword. Go over to the trends analyzer and let's look at the results immediately. I can draw the conclusion just from the chart alone that jackets are most popular at the beginning, right, the early part of the year, and the end of the year, which of course, being that it's a cycle, the end of the year basically goes right into the beginning of the year. So it's really a continuous thing, right? It's like October through January, right? Basically, or September through January, perhaps. Not surprising in the United States that these are the most popular months. From this chart, you can immediately see January is the most popular, October, November, December. So basically, you don't necessarily need to get involved in all of this data. Okay, you don't necessarily need to do that. I mean, it's here because it just makes sense for me to break down year by year and month by month, and for you to actually be able to see those numbers and see the averages, see this overall average value. It just made sense. But I added this section, I believe a couple years later, after I first distributed this as an Excel sheet. I believe I added this a couple years later because I felt that it would be an easier way to immediately recognize which months are way more popular than others, right? Red being way less popular than normal, green being way more popular than normal on this first row for the average popularity, right? So that's really it. There's not much more I could really say about this Google Sheet. That is the process to import the data into the sheet and the process of analyzing the sheet. Again, different ways you can use it. You can just do immediate visual analysis with the chart. You can look at this deviation, or you can get involved in details by looking at numbers. But that's really it. So, if you want a copy of this Google Sheet, check the description of this video. I will have a link to a page where you'll see the options for downloading the sheet. It is a free spreadsheet. I'll go ahead and tell you that ahead of time. So you just go ahead, download it in the way that you prefer, whether it is subscribing through a subscription process or through a direct linking process. You'll have those options explained on the landing page. So that's really it. You can check around the channel. I make a lot of different, I've made a lot of different spreadsheets, primarily spreadsheets, some browser automations as well. But mainly spreadsheets that can be used in different various areas, including e-commerce, including marketing, including other areas as well. So you can check around the video. You can check the website linked in the description of this video, and you'll pretty much see all the information you need there. My social media, all of that stuff is there. Just, again, go to the description of the video. Also, like the video if you like it, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell to get your future notifications. Other than that, I'm Mr. Mark, and I look forward to seeing you around in another video.